Hello everyone, and welcome to another Top 5 Records video, and another one in the series in which I'm taking a closer look at the full discography of David Bowie. Now we have arrived at a very interesting moment in time. It's time for Heroes. Now, in this video I'm only going to talk about the album. If you're interested in different pressings, check out below. I did a video in which I compared an American, a German, and a first UK pressing of this album to find out what the best sounding version to me is. Now, this album is obviously well known because it's the center point of David Bowie's Berlin trilogy. And a period in his life in which he started experimenting, and especially with Heroes became incredibly successful with something so completely out of the ordinary, so completely new, unless you had already been very much into krautrock, that is. There are some people who say, again, he stole, or he didn't steal, he was just inspired by his new surroundings, very inspired, but he created new tunes in that period. And Heroes, I mean, the cover is just, it's just amazing, you know, the visual element here, the way he looks out of the frame, not towards his hand, and you can only imagine what's going on in his mind. Let's start. Side A, Beauty and the Beast. This is a chaotic tune which took me some time to get into. I always thought it was a bit of a banger that did not really work until I found the right pressings, and then the sound is all over the place and you're really immersed in the chaos and the schizophrenia of that sound, which it's obviously about. And then, yeah, first Beauty and the Beast and Joe the Lion. This song is somewhat off, but that's also nice. There's a bit of element to him. Bowie is also shouting in chaos here from time to time, which I really enjoy. There is a manic element going on in Heroes. And then the third song here, the title track, Heroes. Story of Heroes. I'm not sure if anyone knows. You know, I'll tell the story of Heroes. They were recording. Robert Fripp, as a matter of fact, had more influence on the song than one might expect. Robert Fripp, the King Krimson guitar player, who does the guitar on this album, he made the very famous howling guitar, which completely sets the mood. And he was not credited with a writing credit back in those days, but recently has gotten the writing credit. Brian Eno is also obviously very influential on this album. There are very interesting new sounds going on, and Heroes is the solution to that, or the outcome of that. Now, the story that Bowie always told in the press was that during the recording of this album, it was at the Hansa studio in Berlin, and they looked out on the Berlin Wall, and then he saw a couple kissing, and there was so much going on, seeing the big, depressing gray wall in Berlin with barbed wire there, and then a couple making it their romance, and the idea that in their heads there is so much more going on than the picture, the visual imagery can suggest or lend themselves to. And not only is that an interesting element towards the gray tones of that time, of the Berlin Wall, of a city that was separated, also if you visit Berlin now, there is a grayness in Berlin. There's also a lot of beauty, but there's also a lot of grayness, a lot of sadness, which somehow does not make you sad. The sadness and the grayness and the whiteness of Berlin leave space to the imagination. There is so much room for romance in Berlin. That is, for me, what Heroes represents. Now, later on, Tony Visconti, the producer of this album, or co-producer, he explained that it was not just a couple kissing under the Berlin Wall, but that it was him with a different woman than the woman he was married or officially with. So Bowie he covered up for Tony Visconti in that. I actually prefer it with the idea that it's a unknown couple. Like you're spotting a moment of romance out of nowhere in this gray area guarded by towers. I love it. Then we go to Sons of the Silent Age. Beautiful atmospheric, and you hear to me there's the association of the Middle East. Like he's not focused on creating solely the sound of Berlin. He just takes Berlin as his watchtower to take a look at the world or something like that. Blackout, great song. Then side B, which is obviously an ode, V to Schneider, which is an ode to one of the founders of Kraftwerk. Gorgeous song, gorgeous, brilliant tune. Then Sense of Doubt, which I immediately recognized from the Christiane F. Wir Kinder vom Bahnhof Zoo film and its soundtrack. Beautiful instrumental, haunting tune. Then Mossgarden, which is good. Neukölln, also a reference to Berlin, to the neighborhood of Neukölln, which it's a nice neighborhood. But the last couple of years it's been really up and coming, and a lot of hipsters go there. But a lot of people seem to hate hipsters, but I love hipsters. You know why? Hipsters got good coffee bars and vinyl stores. I mean, part of the vinyl resurrection is because of hipsters. And of course, Generation Z carries it on with pride. But as a matter of fact, most of the record sales these days, most of it, are from millennials and hipsters. Well, I'm a millennial, so I'm now kind of boasting about my own generation. But yeah, well, that's something to be proud of, right? That we keep the spirit of vinyl alive, while Generation X was of the CD time and the digital and downloading time, which is unromantic and has no quality and no idea and no personality and but mostly a lack of quality. So I mean, this is a gorgeous pressing. This is the first American pressing. Not my favorite pressing. I prefer the German one, quality-wise, but also because it has Helden. But the American one is a very full warm sound. But quality brings you closer. As a matter of fact, it's this album that showed me how much more detail there is on vinyl. I bought one of these pressings when I went to the Amsterdam Film School, and I was always known to the song Heroes digitally. And then I listened to it on vinyl, and I just heard what was going on in the studio. I heard things from the studio, not only reverb. I heard things were going on. I heard so much more space, so much more detail. And I thought, how is this possible? I mean, we should be heading to some place new with sound quality. While if you want real quality, you gotta look back. You gotta look at the source. So that's one of the main example that got me into realizing that it's Heroes. And that's why I love Heroes. Last song, The Secret Life of Arabia. Also a Middle Eastern element there, Bowie's Watchtower at the World. That's Heroes. That is Heroes. I truly, truly, deeply love this album, and I can advise anyone to travel to Berlin, find a German copy and put it on vinyl in Berlin. But if you don't have it on vinyl, or if you want to listen to it while you're in the U-Bahn or in a taxi cab or just biking through Berlin, I did all headphones in, and yeah, then I listen to some digital. Yeah, it's romance. It's gorgeous. This is the soundtrack to Berlin. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.